I'm so pleased and honored to welcome you tonight to the Breakthrough Lab 2022 Showcase. Yeah. You know, we're here to celebrate the really remarkable achievements of a group of young people here at Brown University, student entrepreneurs who have been working to advance ventures of their own creation over the last summer in particular, but often and even in advance of the summer, and many of them are still continuing today. And so we're here to watch them give you the benefit of their wonderful summary of their work and celebrate that tonight. My name is Jason Harry. I'm the director of the Breakthrough Lab, and I'm also a professor in the School of Engineering teaching technology entrepreneurship. And it's been really an incredible summer working with these students. If you don't know what B-Lab is, I'll just describe it very briefly. It's considered a venture accelerator, and in this case, it's a student venture accelerator, and it has one really interesting characteristic relative to the typical kinds of accelerators that you may have encountered. Because we operate in an institution of higher learning, of course, we want the ventures to make progress and to be successful as businesses, but we also hold dear the progress of the individuals, the students themselves. And so over the summer in B-Lab, we are, of course, working on the ventures, but we also are working on the professional development of the students. And I think you'll be really impressed with what you see here tonight. So just as a little bit more background about B-Lab, we're in our 8th year, and without counting it too precisely, that means that we've incubated or accelerated over 100 student ventures, over 200 students over that time. And it's just been, for me, an incredible experience to be part of those 7 years that I've been doing it. Well, what you're going to see tonight is a parade of the 12 ventures that you'll hear from tonight. But I do want to say that this isn't something that you would call an investor pitch. It's not really meant to be an investor pitch. So you won't see revenue projections and amounts of money that need to be raised, except in maybe a few cases. And they're meant to be 5 minutes. None of them are 5 minutes. But we're gonna hope that at least some of them are 5 minutes. And so they are going to run in rapid succession. I will not be coming back up and interfering in the progress. And let's just start right now with our first venture.
Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need.
Hi, I'm Rose, and I'm the CEO of COAD. COAD stands for Community Adherence, and our mission is to utilize behavioral decision science to improve medication adherence, or the percentage of time patients take their medicine as directed. So, more than 151 million Americans are prescribed medicine. For most, that medicine is miraculous. It keeps them healthy and alive. So what's the problem? Well, medicine only works if you take it. And 3 out of 4 patients are non-adherent, meaning they forget to take their pills and take them late or not at all. We think. You see, all current adherence data is self-reported, which is inaccurate, leaving both patients and their doctors in the dark regarding their current care and their future needs. But why are patients not adherent? Most just forget. People don't want to forget, it's just life. The bad news is the simple forgetfulness really matters. Non-adherence is responsible for 10% of all hospitalizations, over 125,000 premature deaths each year, and over $300 billion in avoidable healthcare costs, which is 30% of the waste in our healthcare system. So, how in 2022 are we letting 342 Americans die each day from something as simple as forgetfulness? Well, it's not because no one has tried. Companies have been trying to solve this problem for decades, developing printer-size automatic pill dispensers and clunky pill boxes that sound like fire alarms and complex reminder apps with 75 toggle options. But the tech doesn't care if you walk by your perfectly dispensed pill. It doesn't care if you silence your ringer. It doesn't care if you snooze that 4th reminder. The tech will never care because it's not human. At COAD, technology isn't the focus, but the vessel. We're flipping the industry on its head by integrating behavioral decision science into the medication taking routine to fundamentally change the way patients remember to take their medicine in the first place. Introducing COAD, a human-first digital healthcare platform comprised of a smart pill box integrated with a user-friendly mobile app that work together to remind patients to take their medicine, to notify their loved ones when they forget, and generate verifiable adherence reports that patients can use to optimize and personalize their care. We do this all while tapping into the two most basic human emotions that drive every decision we make: love and guilt. The love that we have for our family and friends, and the guilt that we carry when we let them down. So, here's how it works. Step 1, simply add your medication schedule into the COAD app and up to 5 family members, friends, or caregivers who will serve as your accountability buddies. Step 2, load your pills into the COAD pill box, which is uniquely designed for single finger pill extraction with 7 shallow depth finger-shaped compartments. The pill box and app automatically sync and update via Bluetooth. So, all set. It's that simple. You see, COAD knows whether you take your medicine. Our pill box has sensors in each of the compartments that notify the app when the pill has been taken. When it's time to take your medicine, COAD will send you a friendly reminder. Our pill box will blink and beep as a visual and auditory cue. If you take your pill, you're good to go. Nothing else to do. But when you forget, and this is the important part, COAD will call on your accountability buddies to nudge you back on track. Both you and a succession of up to 5 of your accountability buddies will receive reminder notifications in 15-minute intervals until you take your medicine. It's that easy. COAD also improves long-term patient care through the collection, analysis, and visualization of accurate patient data. The COAD app offers daily, monthly, and ongoing adherence reports that patients can share with their accountability buddies and doctors. Doctors can utilize these reports to make data-driven decisions and personalize your care plan. The market opportunity here is huge. Non-adherence alone is a $6 billion market, but the larger opportunity is in the data we collect. The healthcare analytics market will reach nearly $100 billion by 2030. COAD will capture revenue from both markets through 3 streams. 1, our pill box, priced at a flat rate of $40. 2, our app, available with subscription at $5 a month. And 3, this is where we're gonna make the most money, our data, which we will anonymize for patient privacy and sell to research institutions, insurance companies, and big pharma to improve patient care from the top down. We plan to scale over the course of 3 phases. Phase 1, we plan to launch D2C and through partnerships. This will enable us with the most amount of optimum quality control and margin while we collect feedback for rapid iteration and product improvements. Phase 2, distribution expansion. Once product market fit, a strong customer base, and credibility are established, we plan to expand distribution through private practices and retail pharmacies. In Phase 3, partnerships for research. We intend to partner with pharma, biotech, and CROs to implement our solution within their clinical trials to increase adherence rates, capture higher quality data, and ultimately facilitate the FDA approval process. As we scale, our database will become increasingly insightful and powerful, and we plan to monetize our data beginning in Phase 3. Our advisors are dedicated, deeply experienced within their respective fields, and align with our 3-phase approach. And our team has collective experience in healthcare, big pharma, big data, engineering, computer science, and behavioral decision science. Together, we integrate and work as well as our solution we're building. This past spring, we won BVP, and we utilized that funding to drive product development forward this summer through B-Lab. Looking forward into next year, we just started a Master's in Business Creation program through the University of Utah, which happens to be one of the top 10 entrepreneurship programs in the country. The program functions as a 9-month accelerator with an application-focused curriculum, mentorship, and support designed to help startups launch and scale. Today, we are 2 weeks away from finishing our product development and in the process of coordinating a 6-week clinical trial of our integrated solution at Martha's Vineyard Hospital, one of the 16 branch hospitals of the Mass Gen Brigham Hospital Network. If our clinical trial is successful, COAD will be the only mobile app pill box adherence solution on the market that clinically is proven to improve medication adherence. After our trial, we plan to rapidly refine based on user feedback and launch later this spring. So, moving forward, we're raising $250,000 for our next 3 milestones. 1, our 6-week clinical trial through Martha's Vineyard Hospital. 2, our product refinements and preparation to launch. And then 3, our product launch. So today, I invite you to join us on our mission to improve medication adherence, advance healthcare, and save lives around the globe. We're seeking investors, interns, and any type of advice. We actually have a product here today, so you can come check it out. And if any of that sparked your curiosity, I urge you to come grab me after all the pitches. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tatiana, and today I will be speaking about my venture, Cinemates. Okay. So you're sitting in front of the television with your friends and family, you have some popcorn, maybe a fuzzy blanket, and then someone asks the dreaded question, so what are we gonna watch? You start pulling out your phones, you're Googling things, you're scrolling through Apple TV, you're wasting time. According to a study done by Ericsson Consumer Lab, the average American spends 23 minutes a day searching for content. If you continue searching the way you do now, you will waste a year and 4 months of your life searching for content. This is a lot of searching. So clearly, recommendations are really, really recommended. People want recommendations. And so they're relying on their friends and family for these suggestions. The people I spoke to have Slack channels that they use with their colleagues. They write down movies or TV shows mentioned in conversation on their notes app, or maybe they jot it down on a sheet of paper. They're really desperate to have these recommendations from friends and family because 93% of the American population trust these recommendations, whereas only 38% of the population trust recommendations on streaming services like Netflix or Hulu. So what if there was a platform that could really collect all of these recommendations from your friends and your family so that you don't have to have all this searching, you don't have to have all this scrolling, you don't have to be checking your text messages, your Slack channels, random sheets of paper? Meet Cinemates. On Cinemates, you can really easily pose a question to your whole entire network. Hey, what's a good rom-com that I can watch with my mom? Your friends will all be notified of this request, can swipe up, and easily send movies your way. And so now you have saved a year and 4 months of your life through this app, and there's nothing that really exists like it now on the market. Sure, there's IMDb, there's Rotten Tomatoes, but those are databases that presuppose you already know what you want to watch. And then there's Hulu and Netflix, where you can easily get recommendations quickly, but they're not the recommendations you want. As I said, only 38% of people actually trust these recommendations. On Cinemates, you can get these recommendations just as easily, just as quickly, but maybe even faster, but they're the recommendations you actually want and desire. So right now, we are in the middle of developing this app. It's myself, I have expertise in the film and design areas, and I'm working with Ethan Pauly, who's a student at Brown, who is a computer science student, and together we're overseeing a team of Brown software developers. We're planning to be launched before 2023. We've made a lot of progress since last August, which is when we started this project. We launched a preliminary version of the app with just one feature. You could ask for recommendation, and we received over 2,000 downloads without any marketing. And then we really did a lot of user interviews, about 100 user interviews, and with that data and with our research, we came up with a new prototype. And with that prototype, we won Fan Favorite at Brown Venture Prize, and we were awarded some money from Brown's Entrepreneurial Center, which we've been using to fund the Brown developers. And as I said, we're planning on launching before 2023, and you can check us out on cinematesApp.com, email me, Tatiana@cinematesApp.com if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
My name is Andrei, and I'm the co-founder of CardioStatus. At CardioStatus, we're supercharging wearables to protect your heartbeats. We're in the middle of a public health problem. 1 American dies every 30 seconds from cardiovascular disease. That adds up to about 1 million deaths every year. And we're spending over $600 billion to take care of those patients. But it's not like we scientists just sat around and waited for this to happen. Over the past 10 years, we developed an array of amazing technologies to intervene in cardiovascular disease. We have artificial arteries, replacement valves, implantable defibrillators, pacemakers, and even fully mechanical hearts. So we have all the technology to change the course of action. So let's look at the stats, how well we did this. In 2010, the death rate per 100,000 people was 179. Last year, it was 157. That's only a 12% decrease in 10 years. So if the problem is not with technology, where is it? We need to take a step back and look at the entire healthcare journey to find out. So meet John. He's a patient who's experiencing cardiac palpitations. So first stage is a screening phase. It's routine but sophisticated testing. Diagnosis comes back and he has a narrowed aortic valve. Only course of action, valve replacement. He goes into the surgery. It's a very expensive one, and that's because the success rates are incredibly high. And such is the case with John. All good immediately after the surgery. However, here's the problem. 50% of patients develop complications in the medium to long term. So how are we missing this incredible decline in post-surgical success? Let's look at the guidelines. In the next month, John is expected to come in twice for 2 follow-ups of 12-second ECG monitoring. That's under 30 seconds of monitoring after we implanted him with a $50,000 valve. And what's even more frustrating, we have the technology to do long-term monitoring with ECG devices like this. We're so good at ECGing. We've implanted them in wearable devices like the Apple Watch. The same device that sends you email and text notifications can now continuously monitor your heart. So why on earth is nobody using this technology to take care for John once he's out of the clinic? 2 problems. Healthcare will not and cannot afford to pay highly skilled cardiologists to do long-term monitoring for every single patient. And even if they could, doctors don't have the foresight and the analytical capability to predict future outcomes. At Cardiostatus, we solve both the financial and the analytical problems. We are the first fully automated software platform for collecting, processing, and decoding cardiac rhythms. With our electrophysiological models and predictive analytics, we achieve over 90% predictive accuracy in detecting cardiac outcomes. So I'll explain with this graph how John's journey through the care system changes with Cardiostatus. Here, I'm plotting the changes in rhythm quality over time. These needs to be in the healthy range. When they drop into the red zone, there's a very high risk of cardiac failure. On the x-axis are the number of days after a surgery. Remember, John had perfect results immediately after surgery. He goes to a follow-up on day 14. No signs of concern. He's still in the healthy range, and a drop is expected at this point. Day 18, he calls the doctor. He's feeling ill. He gets scheduled for the next available appointment on day 24. On day 24, doctors are shocked to find out that he's almost having cardiac failure. How do we get to this? In our word, we send John home with an Apple Watch loaded with the Cardiostatus platform. Now we see exactly what happened day by day. John's cardiac rhythm quality decreased steadily over time. By day 7, our AI already knows that he'll soon enter the high-risk zone. So we leap into action. We arrange with the clinic to put him on a cardiac pacemaker. Now, 1 month after surgery, John is as good as new. That's the power of Cardiostatus. And we assembled the perfect team to turn our vision into reality. Between myself, Anshul, and Tony, we have the technical, medical, and financial know-how to revolutionize care. Stay tuned. Sorry. Stay tuned as we're running our clinical trial and preparing our product for launch. Thank you.
Never give up the fight. Never give up the fight. No way. Hey. Never give up the fight. Never give up the fight.
Hi, my name is Rocky, and I'm the founder of Rocky's Root Care. Like so many others, I'm deeply concerned with how far removed most of us are from having meaningful connections to nature, especially given how powerful and potent its healing capacities are. So my venture is all about helping us heal mind, body, and spirit through meaningful connections to the plant world. Today, I'll be taking you through a journey of what this has looked like for me and my venture in the last year. So a little bit about me. I am currently a herbalist in training, and I am soon to be a PhD candidate here at Brown. I just finished my master's. And my work, thank you. Thank you. My work all centers on holistic healing practices, especially within the Black community, as well as Black people's fraught relationships to nature across space and time. I work in a garden where I help grow food for a local community, and I've been a community connector, hosting different types of events geared at sharing and cultivating collective wisdom, as well as like teaching about herbalism and teaching about things like meditation and so forth. And so in all these different aspects of my life, there's this move towards deeper and more meaningful relationships with nature and the plant world, both for myself and other people in my communities. And so for the last 3 years, the primary way that I've done that is through healing my eczema and the skin conditions of other people. So 31 million Americans have eczema, which is a skin condition characterized by dryness, soreness, itching, and increased sensitivity. Like so many others who have hypersensitive skin, I found myself deeply frustrated with the lack of viable options on the market. Everything I used that was marketed towards the general public either irritated my skin or contained a bunch of harmful additives that I didn't want on my skin. And those that were marketed towards people who had sensitive skin lacked a sense of luxury. They didn't feel great, they didn't smell great, and some of them, like the ones I got from my doctor, contained steroids. And so my solution was to create a plant-based body butter and other cosmetics for sensitive skin that was filled with all natural ingredients that provided all-day moisture, that I carefully tested for 2 years with dozens of family, friends, and potential customers, and that reflected the growing demand that I found both in my customer research and market research for both natural products and businesses that have a compelling mission. And so between October 2021 and March of 2022, I sold over 120 units, making just over $2,000 in sales. I got my products in 3 different stores between Houston and Providence, and I hosted over 15 events in 2022 on herbalism and community care and the like. And as what is currently slowly loading is a series of stills from different product review videos. And so as you can see, I had customers across the range of the demographic spectrum. Everyone's so happy because it was such a great product. But this is the part where the story evolves a little bit. This isn't a typical pitch, because the process of going to market transformed my understanding of the type of impact that I want to have and what my ultimate goals and purpose were in the long term. So in B-Lab this summer, we had to map out our big, hairy, audacious goals. And one of the things I realized is that a cosmetics company wasn't really aligned with where I saw myself going. And so for the moment, I have taken some time to pivot away from cosmetics to return back to the fundamentals. This is a harvest I recently made at the garden I work at. To continue to build community, to build knowledge, and to build wisdom, to really figure out how I want to more deeply align myself with the types of impacts I want to have in my communities in this lifetime. And so what might that look like? Well, this is one example. Okay. There's more to the video, but this was called Black Restoration Day. It was an event I recently hosted that was geared at building and cultivating community connections, experiencing different types of holistic healing practices, and Okay, I don't know what it's going to do, but experiencing different types of plant medicine. And so there are also a lot of other sprouts that I see myself taking in this moment of pivot. And so when considering and thinking about what Act 2 of Rocky's Root Care looks like, because it's still ongoing, we're just not doing cosmetics at the moment, I think about community gatherings like this that are aimed at building community, cultural resiliency through sharing wisdom, through engaging in different holistic healing practices, through restoring ourselves in whatever way that means. I think about my dissertation, which I'm about to start soon, that's all about how capitalism and colonialism have shaped our relationships with and understandings of the environment and what we might do to sort of repair some of those harms. And my master's thesis, which is about how do we heal ancestral trauma that has been building over centuries. I think about my herbalist studies, where I'm learning about how to heal mind, body, and spirit through a deep, intricate, spiritual, emotional, biological, chemical relationship with the plant world and all of its constituents. I think about the garden I work at and food sovereignty and thinking critically about what my impact in that space could be. And I think about all these different ways that I'm testing the soil at this point in this juncture in my life, seeing what's fertile, seeing what needs to die back so that the harvest next semester is more bountiful, seeing what needs to be weeded, what needs to be propagated somewhere else, and what is in full bloom. And I'm very excited about this process of experimentation and what my life looks like now that I've moved closer to this new chapter. And so if you are interested in Okay, there's supposed to be another slide, but if you're interested in going on this journey with me, I invite you to come talk to me after this presentation, and we can have, I'm sorry, I got thrown off by that. If you're interested in seeing where this journey is taking me and supporting me along this ride, or having ideas of what these different sprouts may be, I invite you to come to chat with me after the rest of the presentations. Thank you.
Hello, I am David Votaskovic, and today I will be speaking to you about a problem which plagues law firms, that of client intake, as well as introducing to you Bonafide, a solution to these problems, which aims to increase law firm efficiency and profitability. I aim to eventually attend law school, and this inspired me to do research on the day-to-day work of lawyers, and I found that much of it consists of administrative tasks, which are highly inefficient by nature. One such task is that of client intake. Client intake is the process lawyers use to convert a potential client into a paying client of the law firm. And it's important to note that this, in most cases, is a non-billed process. Client intake occurs through 4 key steps. Firstly, the basic information gathering step, where the potential client and lawyer will hop on a 20-minute phone call to discuss basic case information. Then, the lawyer will run a conflict of interest check to ensure that they have not represented any opposing parties of this potential client in the past. Third, the step with the greatest amount of upfront investment in terms of time and money for the lawyer, that of the in-person consultation, averaging the lawyer about 1 hour per potential client. This is intended to get case details, and using these details, as well as personal attributes of the potential client, the lawyer will make a key decision about whether to or not to accept this potential client. And if they decide to, they will offer the potential client an engagement letter to become an actual paying client of the firm. Lawyers, however, agree that this process is highly inefficient. In my 70 customer interviews, I have found that lawyers across the nation are overwhelmed by the amount of clients they need to intake. They feel as if they're doing consultations all day, every day. That 20-minute phone call, an hour-long consultation add up over time. And this is foregone hourly rates and time that could be better spent helping their existing clients. Furthermore, many potential clients make it through nearly the entire process of intake, just to be rejected post-consultation. In fact, many lawyers report having accepted less than 50% of all potential clients, with this number being as low as 25%. This is a clear waste of invested time and money in potential clients that were not then realized as actual paying clients. Thus, lawyers are hungry for a solution. Introducing Bonafide, a software-as-a-service approach which aims to improve the current process through AI technology. We firstly aim to streamline existing processes through putting the first step online, through customizable intake forms, and by automating the conflict of interest check, saving the lawyer both time and money in each of these steps. However, our true value add is that of the Client Compatibility Index. Essentially, we rank the pool of potential clients into a preference-ranked list according to the lawyer's own personal criteria for which potential clients they should and should not invest in the in-person consultation with. This is similar to recommendation engine technology like Netflix with movies or Amazon with books. And this is intended to provide the lawyer an educated decision about which potential clients to and not to consult with. There are existing approaches on the market which aim to streamline intake. However, these only solve half the problem. They do nothing to address the in-person consultation step, that with the greatest amount of upfront investment for the lawyer. Bonafide, however, encapsulates the entire process of intake, not only streamlining existing processes, but also providing the lawyer tailored recommendations about which potential clients to and not to spend the time and money consulting with. Thus, lawyers who use Bonafide rather than the competition experiences the greatest strides forward in efficiency and profitability. We offer our intake solution to law firms through a one-time setup fee as well as a monthly subscription per user. And our market opportunity is quite lucrative, with a serviceable, attainable market of $250 to $500 million. And we aim to enter this market with our solution by 2023, before expanding into other verticals, other pain points that lawyers expanded upon during their interviews, such as workflow management, task delegation, and timekeeping by 2025 and 2026. Bonafide is a growing organization, and with that comes the need to grow our team. So if you, or anyone you know, has technical and mathematical expertise and is looking to join a cutting-edge legal technology startup, I encourage you to come find me after this presentation so we can discuss a potential role for you on the team. Thank you so much from Bonafide, which aims to streamline lawyers. Case closed.
Ladies up in here tonight, no fighting. We got the refugees up in here. No fighting. Shakira, Shakira. I never really knew that she could dance like this. She make a man wanna speak Spanish. Como se llama? Bonita. Picasa. Shakira, Shakira.
Good evening. My name is Zoe,
I'm Maddie.
And I'm Otto.
and we are RideRx, driving recovery forward. RideRx aims to address health inequities by mitigating systemic barriers to accessing opioid use disorder care in Rhode Island. To begin, let's examine the current state of the opioid crisis. Opioids are a class of highly addictive substances that have historically been used to treat pain. Unfortunately, due to a myriad of factors, opioid misuse is increasingly on the rise. In the last decade alone, the opioid crisis has claimed the lives of nearly 500,000 people in the US, with numbers drastically increasing since the COVID-19 pandemic. In Rhode Island, opioid overdose is the #1 cause of accidental death, surpassing motor vehicle accidents in recent years. The good news is treatment options do exist and can support one's path to recovery. However, treatment can be incredibly rigorous, consisting of daily supervised visits to receive medicated-assisted treatment along with other cognitive behavioral therapies. Complications then arise when patients can't consistently make these appointments, leading to higher disruptions in their care. This takes us to the problem. The state of Rhode Island spends over $850 million annually on substance use treatment, with opioid treatment comprising the majority of these costs. And yet, despite these efforts, 6 Rhode Islanders experience an opioid-related overdose every 24 hours. So what's happening here? Well, for one thing, as I said, opioid use disorder is one of the most difficult chronic conditions to treat and can require numerous appointments every week. Without access to a personal vehicle, making these appointments is an exhaustive challenge. Options such as Uber are not financially sustainable, nor do they aim to center the patient experience among the most vulnerable populations. Additionally, the RIPTA, Rhode Island's only form of public transportation, can be unreliable and inefficient, costing the average Rhode Islander living outside the urban core up to 2 hours in transportation time to receive their treatment. When patients can't access the life-saving treatment they deserve, their health outcomes worsen, increasing their risk of overdose and the need for further treatment.
We've thus far conducted more than 75 stakeholder interviews with individuals such as those with lived experience, community health workers, peer recovery specialists, and healthcare providers who have affirmed that transportation as a barrier in Rhode Island is prevalent and disproportionately affects vulnerable communities across the state. We've heard stories about the administrative challenges, stories about patients having to plan through extremely long rides on public transport or having to find rides to appointments through friends. We've also heard stories about existing alternatives such as Uber, where patients might be getting into different cars with strangers each time, which might feel like a very isolating experience, being in the presence of someone who may not fully understand their journey or needs. So, what's the solution? We propose a rideshare service for opioid use disorder patients to improve treatment adherence while incorporating a peer and community-centered environment. What could this look like? We envision patients could schedule rides 1 to 2 days in advance at their own convenience, and we would consolidate pickup based on geographic proximity. Additionally, community members with lived experience would not only be present at the design of all of our services, but also the implementation by being able to serve as drivers themselves. Our proposed model aims to center community perspectives and needs and uplift the value of the lived experiences of those in recovery.
As a nonprofit, our funding sources would encompass 3 key areas: reimbursements from both public and private insurance, payments from treatment centers and hospitals, as well as support from both state and federal grants. And in the state of Rhode Island, our services would be covered by Medicaid, meaning we could supply these rides at subsidized rates or even for free for patients that are eligible. The core of our mission at RideRx is to foster a patient-centered environment in which all individuals can feel trusted and empowered to use our services. And we aim to achieve this goal by hiring individuals with lived experience to be our drivers, most notably peer recovery specialists. And as Maddie just mentioned, these are individuals that know the struggles of addiction. They also understand that treatment options exist and that recovery is possible. In this way, we hope that they will serve as both peers and mentors for the patients that choose to ride with us and to build into this community-centered environment. Additionally, for the past year, we've been working to develop trusted community partnerships with some of the largest treatment centers throughout Rhode Island. And we've been in communication with experts at all levels of these institutions, from clinicians to the founders and executives, in order to develop a solution that streamlines the treatment process for both the patients and the providers. At RideRx, we are a cohort of both undergraduate and graduate public health students with a passion for creating equity and accessibility for substance use disorder treatment. Thank you from RideRx.
Good evening, everyone, or wagwan, as we would say back home. My name is Alexandria Miller, and I'm the founder and host of Strictly Facts, a guide to Caribbean history and culture. What comes to mind when you think of the Caribbean? Probably great food, music, beaches, and resorts. For me, it's family, heritage, and the reason I founded Strictly Facts, the history that I didn't get to learn as a first-generation Jamaican American. This is a problem that I've noticed not only amongst my friend group, but also through the customer discovery that I've conducted. Several first-generation and recently migrated Caribbean young adults have felt at a disadvantage because they don't know much about their history. This is also a problem that I've conducted in research amongst parents who are Caribbean migrants and looking for ways to supplement their children's education so that they know more about who they are, but they don't necessarily have the time, expertise, or the materials to teach them about their history. Furthermore, parents are also concerned with ensuring that their children learn about who they are from a voice of those who are from the background and not from the lens of those who are in power. Strictly Facts aims to solve these problems by creating an edtech company based off 3 key solutions. First, Strictly Facts creates culturally relevant educational materials on Caribbean history, politics, and activism. Secondly, it prioritizes making learning history fun and engaging by tying history to popular culture. And thirdly, it prioritizes underrepresented voices and making sure that this history is accessible to all, while also allowing learners and students to tie to their Caribbean homelands. So you're probably wondering, how have I done this already? Well, in January 2021, I launched Strictly Facts as a podcast and digital platform. In that time, I've already garnered 15,000 downloads across the world. I've trended on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. And I've also been recognized in various publications, including the Caribbean Podcast Directory and Casa de las Americas, a Cuban publication. But best of all, I've gotten several DMs, messages, emails from listeners who all commend me not only for the depth of Strictly Facts' research, but also helping transform their connection to the Caribbean through their understanding of who they are and where they come from. This time, I've also generated revenue primarily through ad sales, but in the next steps of Strictly Facts, I'm hoping to create a diverse revenue stream through creating diverse products, from books to flashcard sets, virtual courses, and curriculum that can be used across people who just want to learn about the Caribbean, but also natives and generational migrants and descendants like myself. With over 13 million people in the US alone having Caribbean ancestry and a region as populous as 44 million, I estimate that my business can grow upwards of $10 million. Still, though, maintaining our key principle of ensuring that those who are Strictly Facts family, as we call them, are empowered by who they are and where they come from. So just a tad a bit about me. I am a training Caribbean historian. I am a PhD candidate in the Department of Africana Studies here at Brown. I'm an educator, published author, and I hope to continue leveraging my connections here at Brown, my undergraduate university at Duke, and my other networks and associations to continue transforming how we understand Caribbean history and educational diversity. So if you'd like to continue learning Caribbean history, if you'd like to talk to me about how I think about transforming education and diversity and inclusion, feel free to email me at strictlyfactspod@gmail.com. Follow us at all social media platforms at strictlyfactspod. And of course, follow our bi-weekly podcast. We publish episodes every other Wednesday. We're on all social media platforms. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Zhou.
I'm Sophia Gori.
And I'm Haley Chen.
We're Codified Health, putting the focus of medicine on healing, not paperwork. So one of our big questions of the night, how do private practice doctors' offices make their money? I'll tell you, it's not a simple job. The work is not done once the patient visit is over. First, that visit has to be translated into codes. ICD-10, which represent diagnosis, HCC, which represent case complexity, and CPT, which represent billing. Then all of that information, those codes, the documentation that go with it, gets sent off as a claim to the insurance companies who review them. And if those codes and that claim are approved, and I say if, then the doctor gets paid. But why did I say if? Because up to 80% of claims are denied. Why? We can see it comes from a variety of simply avoidable mistakes, like not having the right claim data, not having the right documentation, or not even having the right medical codes. I mean, there are over 10,000 of these medical codes.
But these aren't just statistics. These are real problems affecting real people. Unfortunately, the issues that Cindy's described have pushed thousands of private practices across the nation to close because it's just not economically feasible to stay afloat anymore. I know that pain, and it's because that's what happened to my dad in his private practice. This is his picture, and this is his story. The issue with private practice is that you already have a lot on your hands. You have to worry about customer acquisition, finding employees, paying rent, all on top of making sure that your patients are receiving the very top quality care that they deserve. Add all of this to a complex, constantly changing medical billing landscape, it's simply impossible for any one doctor to stay afloat. It's clear that the current solutions available to doctors are failing them. And so my co-founders and I have spent the last summer conducting extensive bottom-up research. We've interviewed over 50 doctors across a wide variety of specialties. We sat down with billing managers across the nation, and in doing so, we've identified 3 universal complaints. First, hiring one employee to do that in a practice known as in-house billing is expensive, costs upwards of $60,000 every year. Second, outsourcing that and having a third-party billing company do your work for you still costs a lot of money. And the issue is they make mistakes. And third of all, most modern automated solutions that market themselves to be able to answer these problems simply cannot. There's too many buttons, too much clicking, and as a result, it's a hindrance rather than a help. And that's where Codified Health comes in.
With our AI software solution, we save 40% of medical billing errors. What that means for doctors like Dr. Chen is that they save $86,000 annually. So how do we go from this to this? It's simple. First, our software instantaneously scans the physician's note. Second, our AI code generator generates the correct ICD, CPT, and HCC billing codes. Third, our documentation verification tool ensures that all the documents are complete and accurate for the selected billing codes. Fourth, with a click of a button, the doctor is able to seamlessly send all these changes right back to their electronic medical record system. And finally, at the end of the day, the doctor is able to view reports that allow them to better understand their billing cycle, their compliance with billing regulations, and more.
And how exactly are we standing apart from the rest of the competition? Well, we win on 2 key factors. First is capability, and second is affordability. Of all the present approaches on the market, we're the only one that fully encapsulates all 3 types of codes. We're also the only approach that provides a predictable, transparent, and flat fee pricing structure, the way that doctors like my dad like it to be, rather than charging by patient, by visit, or simply by taking a percentage of the doctor's entire earnings at the end of every year. On top of this, our exclusive features include the utilization of artificial intelligence, direct integration with the doctor's notes, as well as a specific focus on primary private practices, in addition to clinics. And the market for this type of product is expected to grow as a result of 3 key factors. First is a rapidly aging American population. Second is increased federal funding for Medicare and Medicaid, which means that more and more people are being insured. And third is the deferred elective procedures as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. All three of these factors are pushing more and more Americans in to go see their doctors, and as a result, we can expect to see continual growth in this industry. And it's clear that even on an annual basis, we're significantly cheaper than either alternative. Not only are we cheaper because we're actually saving on labor, but on top of this, our algorithm simply does not make the same mistakes that ordinary human employees do. Instead, we're busy maximizing reimbursement for doctors.
Our four-person team has the drive and the experience to bring codified health to market. We have the necessary machine learning algorithm and AI development expertise paired with command of large-scale financing and budgeting. We have the big picture public health scholarship combined with a small picture actual experience working in the very private practices we aim to help. Together, we'll bring codified health into doctors' offices. As of now, we have already incorporated as well as filed a patent in order to protect our algorithm. And we soon expect to receive over 4,000 anonymized protected patient records with which we will train our developing AI. We plan to begin alpha testing in November, followed by beta testing in January, in preparation for an April market rollout.
We are seeking opportunities to speak with doctors and billing managers interested in partnering for our alpha and beta testing. We are also interested in speaking with investors interested in partnering to help fund our development. We are Codified Health, and we want to put the focus of medicine back on healing, not paperwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maram Bakare, and I'm the founder of my venture called Hospital. Hospitals have been pushed beyond capacity by the growing number of infectious disease patients, forcing them to adapt unideal spaces, such as parking lots and parks, to idealized infection control protocols, putting healthcare workers and communities at risk. Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City converted 260 regular patient rooms to negative pressure isolation rooms. This is because negative pressure isolation rooms are the standard of care for infectious disease patients, as these rooms contain filtration that prevents contaminated air from entering and leaving the room, protecting both the healthcare workers and other patients. Hospitals have very few of these rooms because infectious disease patients have always been taken in as the exception and not the norm. Therefore, a major lesson learned from this crisis is that our hospitals are not designed to manage the challenges of growing patient capacities. Hospital sets out to serve as a timely response to the challenges of healthcare infrastructure and effectively solve the problem of hospitals running out of space for infectious disease patients. Hospital is a self-powered, configurable hospital unit that is built using prefabrication and modular integration methods with negative pressure technology built into it to ensure a healthy interior environment. The module is delivered to the site as a prefabricated unit. It has modular construction options and sustainable materials that can be delivered to the site as a prefabricated unit, and it is constructed to a more stringent building code where its physical components are rigorously calculated to be built on site or off manufacture. It could be built using a vertical configuration as well, and when fully assembled, it can accommodate up to 1,000 patients and 6,000 staff members. Other competitors are creating hospital units that are either just great isolation spaces or just great standard care spaces, one or the other, making it difficult to go from an isolation space to a standard care space, causing time difficulties for healthcare workers and causing hospitals to lose revenue as they have to cease surgeries and elective procedures. Hospital, on the other hand, uses a plug-and-play of the HVAC system where you can easily go from positive to negative pressure with just the flip of a switch, bringing isolation capabilities to these standard care spaces and increasing the efficiency and workflow of hospitals. This built-in system allows the unit to be served not only for infectious disease, but as operating rooms, blood testing centers, radiology labs, and pharmacies. They can also be used as wellness centers for healthcare workers to rejuvenate and fortify and help them make their jobs better and return safely to their families. With a simple change of room settings and furniture, it can take on different programmatic functions such as classrooms and even housing units. The flexibility in programmatic functioning allows it to exist not only in public health settings, but in social and economic settings as well, such as in refugee camps and affordable housing, showing that an investment in hospital is an investment in inclusivity as well. In addition, I'd like to emphasize the cost effectiveness and fast completion. It takes 3 to 6 years to build a traditional hospital, costing $100 million to $1 billion. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to build hospital, $25,000 per unit, resulting in $12.5 million to build a full-scale hospital. In conclusion, hospital helps us quickly and sustainably prepare for the events that we have no visibility on. It brings isolation capabilities to patients that are already in situ and increases the workflow and efficiency of hospitals. So with that, I give you hospital. Thank you.
People are scared of looming recessions, and everybody is desperate to get back to the way things were. But there's a huge elephant in the room. How great were things really before COVID, especially if they led to what we saw on TV? Hi, my name is Kiki. I'm an industrial designer and product specialist, and I've been studying this for the last 3 years. And here today, we're going to get to the root of the problem. Over this period, I've conducted primary and secondary research that has revealed that 1, it feels difficult to act as an empowered citizen. 2, it feels hard to be heard in a society that's adapted to extremes. And 3, civil civic discourse is no longer the standard. Let's dive deeper into the data. According to newly released data by the Pew Research Group, only 21% of Americans say that they trust the government in Washington to do what is right. Over 55% of voters believe that ordinary citizens can influence things at a national level. Meanwhile, 60% of adults in the US feel like having political conversations with people they disagree with are stressful and frustrating. What's even more concerning is that the toxic division between people on the Republican and Democratic side is growing even wider. Charts are showing alarming growth in the percentage of Americans who view members on the opposite side of the political spectrum as immoral. There's a lot about me that makes me passionate about this problem and uniquely situated to offer some amazing solutions. First of all, I'm an immigrant, and I know I'm not indigenous to this land. It's the story of America. Shocking experiences that I've had as a person of color have driven me to take time out of my career and come back to school to be a part of a new solution. I'm developing toolkits that can help us scale, creating systems that create systemic change through technology. As a digital humanitarian, I believe in building technology futures that support the earth and all the people on it. And I know that we here in America make a difference for how people experience their lives across the world. XTP is a mental health startup that aims to facilitate nonpartisan civic participation and critical thought in the most creative ways possible. By specializing in curated, shared spaces that are designed for producing joyful civic engagement and electoral participation, we are uniquely positioned to drive social experiences that can integrate technologies that are driven by art and design cultures. The result, not only will we reduce mental stress and civic participation, we'll create engaged voters in the process. Our first activation is a midterm election pop-up that is serving as a prototype for how we plan to do and explore engagement for publics. Under the moniker Mode Yellow 5, we are exploring civic participation through spatial interaction, design, and color. The midterm election pop-up is meant to get you out there. Get off your couches, off your computers, and get you into the world. We use a combination of digital and spatial experiences peppered throughout the city of Providence to engage university populations and local community members. Some of the features of this experience include a voter's guide to the midterms, an interactive citywide learning installation, and we are continually organizing and supporting an increased access to voting activities. Now, I know that this is a mixed crowd and that I'm taking this opportunity to really talk about engagement rather than diving into the business, because honestly, elections are just a few weeks away. So today I request a few things from you. One, please participate. Go out and be a voter in any way that feels true to you. We are also, as I mentioned, curating a citywide installation series. Come out and check out what our group has been up to. Two, we're doing a call for art, and we request that you submit an expression for his community showcase in late October. If you're not an artist, please forward your favorite artist to us. And three, help us grow. We're currently seeking experts and funding for 2023. For the investors out there, our visionary team is experienced and thoughtful and driven. We look forward to flexing our possibilities with you. Please be sure to connect if you feel like driving next-gen technology with people who truly care. Thank you to my team, our partners, and everybody in our cosmology that's been making this happen with us. I hope you guys have a wonderful election season.
Hi, my name is Suraj Zaveri. I'm a senior at Brown and co-founder of Footstep. We are working to make great strides for Parkinson's patients. Parkinson's is a progressive neurological disease that affects over 1 million people in the United States. It interferes with your motor function, and there's no cure. Some of the symptoms include tremor, slow movement, cognitive decline, and particularly challenging, freezing of gait. Let me describe what I mean by freezing of gait. You see, for an able-bodied person, walking is very simple. You can start, and you can stop, and you don't have to think about it. It's like magic. But for a Parkinson's patient, sometimes when you experience a freezing episode, you can't even move your feet. And other times, you'll be walking along, and then you'll be stuck. You can't turn, and you can't get through narrow spaces. Moreover, this leads to falls. And as you can imagine, this is very frustrating. In the United States annually, over 250,000 people will fall due to a freezing of gait episode. We at Footstep are working to tackle freezing of gait. We've interviewed over 30 patients, neurologists, and physical therapists, and we've observed consistent themes throughout. People are self-conscious. They get anxious, and they can't do their daily activities like exercise. And a neurologist even says that freezing of gait is the single most important symptom they look at. If they fall, it's game over. So how can we tackle freezing of gait? Well, there's pharmaceutical interventions. There's a pill called levodopa that you can take, and it works pretty well. However, it comes with side effects, such as dizziness or weakness of your senses. There's also surgical methods. There's a surgery called deep brain stimulation, in which an electrode is actually implanted into your brain. As you can imagine, this is pretty invasive, and it's also high risk. Lastly, there's the preferred method, non-pharmaceutical interventions. The research actually shows that projecting a laser on the ground as a visual cue can snap patients out of freezing episodes because it provides a target for them as they're walking. There's also auditory and haptic cues, such as metronomes and vibrations. These help a patient stay on track with their steps by providing a cadence. Now, the non-pharmaceutical interventions are great, but the current ones we have are not adequate. They're costly, they are not discreet, and they require the attachment of canes and walkers. The ideal solution would fix all of these issues, and we at Footstep are working to leverage recent technologies in order to create a solution. The age of smart glasses is here, and it's easy to implement a visual cue such as a laser into smart glasses. Furthermore, wristbands and necklaces today come with haptic features, and they provide the haptic cue that is necessary to snap patients out of those freezing episodes. Rather than make our own wearable device, we at Footstep want to leverage these technologies and repurpose them for Parkinson's patients. And we're going to do this in two phases. First, we're going to do our research. We're going to continue talking to Parkinson's patients, neurologists, and physical therapists to figure out where on the body is the best wearable intervention. And then we're going to conduct an IRB-approved study at Lifespan to test this prototype. And then we'll launch our product. We have 4 design principles when designing this product. 1, it's going to be a wearable. 2, it'll be discreet, no social embarrassment whatsoever for the patient. 3, low cost, cheap and accessible. And 4, no cane, no walker required. Our business model involves making this wearable device and selling it directly to patients in the form of a non-prescription, self-pay device. Later down the line, once our product is verified through decreased fall rates, we hope to be reimbursed by insurance. And we have the team to do this. We have backgrounds in biomedical engineering, cognitive neuroscience, and applied math, all working together. We also have advisors at Lifespan with years of clinical experience working with Parkinson's patients in neurology and neuroscience. Our next steps include 1, talking to patients and furthering our study at Lifespan. 2, we're recruiting new team members. We're looking for people with biomedical engineering backgrounds and industrial design backgrounds, and anyone who's passionate about wearable technology. And 3, we want 100 more customer interviews with Parkinson's patients and neurologists. I'd love to talk more afterwards. Thank you so much for listening.
I'm begging you to put your loving hand out, baby.
Hey everyone, my name is David. I'm currently a junior here at Brown studying CS Econ. Today, I am incredibly excited to be sharing you Sept. Our goal is to streamline the way that you shop online for secondhand apparel. But before I dive into exactly what we do, let me provide a little context. Around 3 in 4 of us in this room right now are now willing to purchase secondhand. And this number is only increasing. The secondhand apparel market is projected to more than double within the next 4 years, reaching an $82 billion market. And this makes sense. Secondhand apparel is not only on average 40 to 50% cheaper, but also more sustainable. But despite this, we've heard the same problems, that it's difficult to find a specific style secondhand, that navigating on these sites is a nightmare, and that even when you find it, you just can't seem to find it your style. I mean, let's say you wanted something like this. If you were to purchase a new, you would know where to go. Probably not Nike, probably not Gucci, but you'll probably check out H&M. There, you'll find something like this. Pretty cheap, the process is pretty straightforward. They probably have it your size, and even if you don't want it now, they probably still have it your size in stock later. But now let's try that secondhand. Where do you even start? Poshmark, Depop, eBay? Let's just say you start on Depop. What are the odds you find it there? What are the odds you find it your size? Even if you find it your size, what are the odds that's the best deal out there? Are you really going to check on Poshmark now to see if there's a better one? See, we found that although people may be willing to purchase secondhand, this searching process is incredibly tedious. Because yes, the cost of secondhand is significantly cheaper, but the searching cost is also much higher. So let's go back to that original statistic that I mentioned. Because yes, 3 in 4 of us in this room right now may be willing to purchase secondhand, but 30% of us actually do. All right, so how do we begin to solve this problem? Our first thought was, why don't we just aggregate them all on one site? That way you don't have one place to check. But we realized that you have your shopping habits. You already have your favorite stores to browse, and you don't want to learn something new. So then we thought, okay, what if we let you shop as you always do? And then once you find a style you like, let's map it over to secondhand. And then we thought, okay, let's do that within a click of a button. That's what we built. A browser extension to streamline your online shopping experience. Let's go back to that jacket from H&M. All you do is click on the Sift icon in the top right corner, and the Sift extension will pop up. Let's zoom in to see what's actually happening. All you do is hover over a card to see more details and click, and now you're on a site you may not even have heard of. All right, let's say you want to see more. Just click on Sift again, and now you're on Depop. It's that easy. Sift allows you to find secondhand alternatives whenever, wherever. And while we tried to make this user experience as simple as possible, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. First, we have a data cleaning model, able to take products from all across the web and convert it into a language that our models can understand. 2, we have a similarity engine, able to quantify this product and allow us to make objective comparisons. But we realize that objective similarity is not enough, because you care about brand, you care about price, and you even care about image quality. So we found a way to take all of these factors into account to give you the best set of recommendations. And giving you the best set of recommendations allows us to make more money. We have a lot of creative ways to earn revenue. The first is through affiliate marketing links. We could earn about 6% off every sale we direct, to dozens of resale marketplaces. For those who don't, we could talk about direct partnerships. And outside of marketing, we have a lot of creative ways to use data. We as Sift value user privacy, but we believe that we could get valuable insights by aggregating data together. For example, we could see what are the latest fashion trends. We could also create a graph showing how products interconnect all across the internet. And while the road ahead of us may be challenging, our team can do it. Our team is young, passionate, and technical. And we've come a long way since we started this project. The idea for Sift came at Hack at Brown this year, where we were able to win the best overall hack. In Engine 1010, we were able to conduct market research and able to realize the size of the opportunity. In B-Lab, we were able to get paired with mentors, from Silicon Valley board members to university professors. And we were also able to conduct MVP tests and start product development. Now we're almost there. At the end of this deck, there will be a QR code we can scan to visit our site and join our waitlist. We are also looking ahead, because we believe we are extremely excited for the future. One, we could partner with other stores. For example, we could offer a way for Allbirds and Everlane to reach consumers in a new way. 2, we could span to other verticals, beyond clothes, to allow you to find anything secondhand, from electronics to even furniture. And beyond that, we could create different channels to reach the user. We could create a mobile app, a mobile extension, or even perhaps an integrated website, almost like Pinterest, where you could save your shopping products. We are incredibly excited for the future. But for now, we're still focused on the challenge at hand, because secondhand isn't going anywhere. And used is now acceptable. Let's make it accessible. Let's Sift.
I'm going to invite all the teams to come out and please give them another round of applause. All right. I'm Danny Warshay. I'm the executive director of the Nelson Center, and I have the pleasure of thanking a number of people tonight. First of all, thank all of you. What an amazing crowd we have tonight. Not only here in Sales Hall, there are many, many people who are logged in all over the world watching these wonderful teams present. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to the people who are watching the live stream. Really appreciate your being here today. I haven't had the chance to ask this question too many times over the last 3 years, so I'm going to take the opportunity to do so now. It's my hallmark question, and you'll hear why. For how many of you, please raise your hand, is this your first Nelson Center for Entrepreneurship event? Wow, that's a lot of people for whom this is your first event. Well, a big applause to all of you. Thank you so much for being here today. Those of you for whom this is not your first Nelson event know that that is my hallmark question. I start every event at the Nelson Center by asking you that, and that is because we want you to feel welcome. I always say at a university we turn over our customer base fully every 4 years. And so we welcome all of you for whom this is a new experience at Brown. We welcome a lot of people from the community for whom you feel this is a welcome opportunity to be here. We see old friends with us tonight, and we're really happy to make new friends. This is a really extraordinary experience that takes a team to do, and I want to acknowledge the team. That is Sheila Haggerty, our assistant director. Jonas Clark, who, I don't know if he's here, right over here, our associate director. And Tori Gilbert, I don't know where she is, but she's in charge of our operations and events, and boy, did she work super hard on this event tonight. I see our former assistant director, Liz Malone, here tonight. And I see Jen Nazarino, Professor Nazarino, who is a joint appointee of the Nelson Center and the School of Public Health. And I see others related to B-Lab who will acknowledge us soon. The biggest thank you tonight, though, and I say this with a little bit of a heavy heart, is that tonight is Jason Harry's last B-Lab. That may come as a surprise to some of you, but it's, as I say, with a bit of a heavy heart, because Jason has been the director of this program, B-Lab, for the last 7 years. And it's hard to imagine B-Lab without him, but we're going to continue, of course, without him. I looked back at some of the data associated with B-Lab, and it's really quite astounding. In Jason's tenure, you have had 233 students go through B-Lab over the last 7 years. They represent 114 different ventures. 30 of those ventures are still active. They are raising tens of millions of dollars. They're employing scores of people all over the world. They are generating tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue in the full range of different kinds of industries that you saw represented in the teams who presented this evening. 7 of those alumni have been designated as Forbes 30 Under 30, and 2 have been designated as Forbes Next 1000. So an extraordinary track record over 7 years of hard work by Jason. It really is hard to imagine B-Lab without Jason. And so tonight, it's just impossible to acknowledge Jason in all the ways in which he's had impact at the Nelson Center and through B-Lab in particular. We thought long and hard about how we could do something special for him. And so what we're going to announce tonight is the establishment of the Jason Harry B-Lab Leadership Award that will continue on in perpetuity, that we will award And to make sure that we don't forget Jason, we will be awarding the Jason Harry B-Lab Leadership Award to a deserving student every year that B-Lab continues to operate from here on out. And tonight, we're going to designate an award that to the first recipient of the Jason Harry B-Lab Leadership Award. And to do that, I'm going to ask our Assistant Director, Sheila Haggerty, to make this presentation.
Thank you. So every once in a while, we cross paths with a person who can quietly anticipate what needs to be done and whose mere presence brings a calm to the storm that sometimes erupts with a group of people. The inaugural Jason Harry B-Lab Leadership Award goes to just such a person. This person always shows up. This person is always prepared. This person is undaunted by technical challenges. And this person for B-Lab was like the quiet, gentle breeze that showed up just when all our brows were needing to be cooled from the sweat. Please join me in congratulating the inaugural Jason Harry B-Lab Leadership Award recipient, Estella Westphalen. And Estella, you're getting a Jason Harry Bopper.
I think you'll notice, those of you who've participated in the Nelson Center, that it's a little bit of an artistic trend we have, that we make our awards in the form of a bobblehead. So we have the Barrett Hazeltine Mentorship Award in the form of a Barrett Hazeltine bobblehead, and we've now started the tradition of the Jason Harry B-Lab Leadership Award, also in the form of a bobblehead. So I want to invite all of you to mingle, to socialize, and especially to meet all of our teams in the back here and enjoy some drink and refreshment. Thank you all again for being here this evening. Jason? Yes, let's give Jason the last word. How about we do that?
Oh my goodness. I promise to be very, very brief. I just want to express my tremendous gratitude to the Nelson Center crew. This was a huge surprise to me. I had no idea what was in the offing. So it's a wonderful, wonderful honor. And honestly, I can't imagine a better recipient than Estella. You really have been an incredible force for good in this B-Lab. The one thing that I wanted to say, and Danny very nicely thanked the staff, and I could go through the names again, but I also wanted to recognize another group of people who are a bit of the unsung heroes in B-Lab, and that is the sort of the non-staff mentors. We have an incredible, and I see many of you in the room today. We have entrepreneurs in residence that help us. Hamza Ansari is here, and His ventures are applauding him because he was so instrumental, and Richie Holmes Grant, who wasn't able to be with us here tonight. But those EIRs are an integral extension of the main staff of the Nelson Center in B-Lab. But also we have literally dozens of mentors, and I see some, it's a little hard to see, but I see Caroline, I see Bob, and others in the room, Stu, Andrew. There's a whole bunch of folks who are here who really do, increase the bandwidth and the brains of B-Lab. So it is a little bit with a heavy heart that I'm going to be stepping down from B-Lab, although I will continue to be here at Brown University doing that teaching thing in the School of Engineering, and I also will be very, very involved in the Nelson Center going on. The big difference is I might just have a little bit more time in the summer. So thank you all very, very much for coming tonight, and it was a great pleasure. And now, Danny, let's go party. All right, thank you.